There's a new challenger in the trash can-shaped PC market. Oh, and this is also Corsair's first time ever building a complete computer system. So have they done their homework? From the looks of things? Yes. Yes, they have. Browse privately and securely with TunnelBear, the simple VPN app. Try TunnelBear for free at the link in the video description. Despite this being Corsair's first ever complete PC, they went straight for the enthusiast and high-end gaming segment. Though, given their pedigree, that probably shouldn't come as much of a surprise. But what they have done, and what may be a little surprising, is that in my opinion, they've managed to do this without being tacky about it. There's a fine line between boring business computer and over-the-top gamer, and I feel like the way that Corsair made functional elements also look appealing is something that eludes most PC industrial design teams. Even Corsairs! Breaking with what has become a standard operating procedure at 46221 Landing Parkway, Fremont, they opted to not include RGB lighting, saying that it doesn't go with the quiet ethos of the system. And as big an RGB fan as I am personally, I do have to say that their soft blue lighting scheme, which can be even disabled outright, looks very clean and very modern. And it's not just skin deep. Overall, I've got to commend Corsair for the top-notch build quality of the One. The sound of running your fingers along the top of the radiator-looking metal grill is satisfying, and so is running your hands down the tastefully perforated aluminum side panels, under which you will find a shocking amount of cooling given the One's diminutive size. The single fan at the top of the machine draws air through 2 water cooling radiators in the One, meaning that the CPU and GPU each get their own slim, custom 240mm rad, ensuring that you'll get the best possible performance out of even top-of-the-line components. Ours is equipped with a Core i7-7700K that really seems to love hitting its full turbo at 4.5 GHz, and a GTX 1080 that was able to overclock well over 2.1 GHz. More on performance in a moment. The I/O is pretty typical desktop grade, maybe a little light. You'll find a single USB Type-A on the front along with an HDMI 2.0 if VR is your kind of thing. Then around back is PS2 for your Model M keyboard. Enough USBs and everything that you'd need for a home theater PC use case, as well as a hint that the video card installation is a little unusual. Some additions I would have liked to see are front panel audio, we don't all have USB headsets Corsair, and Thunderbolt 3 at the back. To test thermals, we loaded up AIDA64 and Furmark at the same time, and the results were very impressive. After an entire hour of torture testing, the GPU reached a mere 57 degrees Celsius with the CPU peaking at 80. And while I realize 80 degrees might sound a little hot, you have to remember that was under full synthetic load on the entire system at max turbo for a freaking hour. It actually takes quite a while to get up that high. And the great thermals became even more apparent when compared to our air-cooled test bench, with an EVGA classified 1080 and a decent if unexceptional Noctua NH-D9L cooler on our equivalent Core i7. To get thermal readings, we ran each benchmark 7 times and recorded the maximum GPU and CPU temps achieved. The benchmark results were almost identical across the board between these two systems, but what wasn't identical were the temperatures. At factory speeds, the CPU on the One was 5 to 10 degrees cooler, not that the games were really stressing it out that much, and the GPU was a chilly 20 degrees cooler. While maintaining those temperatures, the One also stayed virtually silent. At idle, Nick eating green beans on the other side of the room was louder than the One sitting right beside me, and under load, the One becomes audible, but the pitch of the fans makes the machine very easy to tune out. So then it's all great news, right? Go buy a One, buy two. Well, no, ignoring the overplayed One name, in spite of Corsair's long enthusiast history, the One is not officially user upgradable. And when talking to Corsair about disassembly, they basically said, they discouraged end users from doing it to avoid voiding their warranty and damaging it. And as for us, well, in short, guys, we put a lot of love into the Corsair One. Please don't break it. So of course, we took it apart to find out just how complicated it was, and of course, we did break it, but just a little bit. The One is actually very easy to open. Removing just 2 screws on either side of the top allows you to access the graphics card or the motherboard and CPU, and reveals a few fun and noteworthy things. The video card uses extension cables to reach the front and back, and features an extra fan to take care of VRM cooling, while the radiator is responsible for only the GPU core. The mere 400-watt power supply uses thinner gauge custom cables in order to minimize cable clutter, and while Corsair did include an M.2 slot on the Mini ITX MSI branded motherboard, it's actually on the back of the board, and they don't offer them from the factory, so you'll pretty much be stuck with SATA 3, an odd move. Though at least that and RAM are relatively easy to get at, so bottom line then, although literally everything in the system is possible to upgrade, so A+ Corsair for using standard components, I can only recommend removing their cooling solution if you don't care about your warranty and you know what you are doing. There are a lot of subtle but important bits of engineering that they put into this to make the product work as well as it does. I mean, thankfully for us, the lead product designer was able to figure out the dumb stuff we had done and get us back up and running in a few minutes, but since we can't tell our whole audience to call Jimmy from Corsair at 1-888-424-4622, our recommendation for most folks who would buy a pre-built is to err on the safe side and let them or an authorized service center take care of it for you. But should you buy one, how much does it cost? Well, ignoring, of course, that this is a very high-end build and therefore doesn't come with a bargain basement price tag, they've actually done a pretty good job of keeping the price reasonable. Building an identically spec'd system on Newegg came in about $200 less than the One. But that machine used a lesser case, it obviously doesn't include assembly service, and any warranty issues will need to be addressed with individual component manufacturers. Leading me then to say, this thing is pretty darn sweet. If you're willing to make the usual expandability compromises that come with compact gaming rigs, and you want something that is screaming fast with, I'd say, pretty reasonable wife appeal, the Corsair One is an outstanding option. And you know what else is a great option? FreshBooks. If you're a small business owner or a freelancer and you want a cloud accounting software, you might not even know you want a cloud accounting software. Okay, so if you want to get more organized, be able to send professional invoices in seconds, be able to accept payment through your accounting platform, be able to take deposits, be able to see when your clients have looked at your invoices, and just generally be able to keep your life from turning into a disorganized shambles. You can track your expenses, you can track your hours, you can basically just make it so you can spend your time doing your work instead of spend your time doing your work instead of spending your time documenting your work in complicated software. So try it out for free. head over to freshbooks.com/tech tips and enter Linus Tech Tips in the How You've Heard About Us section. So thanks for watching, guys. If the video sucked, you know what to do, but if it was awesome, get subscribed, hit that like button, or check out the link to where to buy the stuff we featured in the video description. Also down there is our community forum, which you should totally join, and our merch store, which has cool shirts like this one.